The way we consume and share news today, it is largely rooted in social media outlets, a reason why it's crucial to look at what's being discussed online. From the hottest issues to trends for our daily social media minute, we're joined by Erica in the studio. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Happy Tuesday.
Yes, happy Tuesday.
All right, as always, a lot of grounds to cover. Not enough time. So we're going to get to it. We really are the land of delivery, if you will. It's not an overstatement at this point how reliant we are since the pandemic. It's arguably one of the most popular means of putting food on our tables.
That's right.
So Baemin, South Korea's top food delivery app, they're apparently struggling. We'll get to why this is happening in just a moment. But for some reason, they've decided they need to impose fees for takeout orders too.
Yeah, so it's the leading food delivery app here in South Korea. We're talking about Baemin here. And it announced that it's going to start charging packaging fees for takeout orders starting July 1st. The commission rate is going to be 6.8%, which is the same as the current delivery fee. Now, if restaurant owners sign up for this takeout order service by the end of this month, the fee is going to be waived until March 31st of next year.
Okay, does that mean existing partners are, for now anyway, exempt from these fees?
Yeah, so they're going to be exempt until March 2025, so March next year. Now, the latest move, this decision, highly unpopular decision by Baemin, suggests that packaging service fees may eventually become the norm. In fact, a Baemin representative stated that a gradual transition to a paid model for all services is anticipated in the future. Now, a 6.8% packaging fees for takeout, means that if a fried chicken restaurant receives an order worth 20,000 won, the restaurant owner, will now be required to pay an additional 1,361 in fees for packaging.
Am I the only one that doesn't see the reasoning behind this? Because it's not as if Baemin is bearing literally the cost of the packaging. It's probably the restaurant operators.
Yes.
So why would they be charged more?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Baemin's decision to monetize packaging services is seen as a countermeasure to offset the company's losses from its free delivery policy, which was introduced to compete with Coupang Eats, its rival. Now, because the company has a 60% market share, its cost burden from free deliveries is actually significantly higher than that of its rivals.
So when I was trying to fend off Coupang Eats from rising to the top of the scale, they thought, okay, we'll give a little bit of break. Yes, everybody, likes us more. And now that, there's a more real threat coming in, they need to change their policies.
That's right.
That can't be popular. Are other delivery apps also charging their partners for takeout packaging too?
You know what? Actually, Yogiyo, a competing delivery app, already charges fees for takeout orders.
But they've already slipped in the rankings.
Yeah. Now, Coupang Eats has followed Baemin's lead by deferring fee implementation until March of next year.
But I think the fundamental difference between Coupang at large and Baemin is the fact that Coupang has many other platforms, including but not limited to its e-commerce platform. And to its members, they actually give a significant discount for delivery in general.
That's right.
How do you compete, Baemin? So in April, Baemin faced criticism for announcing plans to monetize packaging services through the Fair Trade Commission's self-regulation compliance review for delivery apps. What does this entail?
The move was widely seen at the time. I mean, April was just 2 months ago. It was seen as a retreat from mutual growth policies. Restaurant owners are voicing strong opposition to this latest decision. Some owners have pointed out that regular customers often choose the takeout option to avoid higher delivery fees, but now they would have to pay fees even for takeout orders. Now, owners agree that the added fees will inevitably force them to raise food prices. So ultimately, the burden falls on the customers. Again. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good policy, especially when you have competitors. But hey, they're a business too. I'm sure they crunched numbers and they needed this little push. It's obviously not popular for the aforementioned reasons.
Right.
Is everything more expensive today?
Yes, I read on the news yesterday that people living in the south of France are they're traveling all the way to Spain like once a week to do grocery shopping because it's like 25% cheaper
affordable
in the next country.
Yeah, but I mean, south of France is notorious for being expensive, but I guess if you live there, it becomes a much bigger burden. All right, we'll leave it there for now. On to our second buzzword today. All I was thinking was, I want to lie out in the beach of south of France, but it'll cost
lovely
ya.
Indeed.
Our second buzzword this morning. I mean, there's something so nostalgic and maybe romantic about these, but it does get in the way of chaotic Seoul traffic, illegal outdoor restaurants.
Yes. I had no idea that these types of outdoor dining spaces, known as yajang in Korean, were in the gray zone, and many of them actually illegal. So yajang are basically restaurants that set up tables outside.
Usually in the wee hours of the night, right? I mean, it starts early afternoon and it's temporary.
Yeah,
right?
But, the weather has been really pleasant in recent weeks, and, business owners are taking advantage of that. More and more young people these days are apparently flocking to these outdoor dining spaces across Seoul's city center. It's not just the popular Uljiro area that people are flocking to these days. Spots near Jongno Samga Station and Sindangdong in the Junggu district are also bustling with these sort of like outdoor dining spaces. And
it's nice.
They're attracting lots and lots of diners. Now, the downside of this is that, those plastic tables and chairs are sort of like crammed along sidewalks and small alleyways, and they're causing real issues for pedestrians and just everyday residents living around that area. People are often seen crossing the street without checking for oncoming traffic in their hunt for an empty seat, which leads to constant honking from cars. And this is a real threat.
I was going to say that puts literally people's lives in danger. So maybe they need a better plan. But are these makeshift outdoor eating spaces illegal, as you said?
Yes, let's get to that actually.
Okay.
Legally speaking, most of these yajangs are operating in a gray area. Okay. According to the Food Sanitation Act, setting up tables outside a restaurant's registered business area is prohibited. Now, local governments also have the authority to restrict business hours through ordinances.
As you can imagine, noise, it can get loud.
That's a serious issue.
Right. And if enough complaints are, called in, I'm sure the local governments can intervene because technically they are illegal. But sometimes they just turn a blind eye, right? Because it's a cultural phenomenon. People like it.
And there's just not many people, to actually conduct inspections.
There you go. Sometimes it's about not having enough manpower.
Right.
Have there been instances where such outdoor dining operations were banned outright?
Yes, so since November of last year, some of these restaurants have been banned in the Junggu district under the district mayor's directive. Okay. Businesses caught breaking the rules can face fines ranging from $73 to $1,088, depending on the size of the operation, of course. They can also face administrative penalties like temporary business suspensions.
Okay, so if push comes to shove, technically the authorities do have the power to shut it down. And
they can put their foot down.
Okay. How often does a district actually conduct inspections?
That's a good question. So Junggu office conducts twice daily inspections in the busy Uljiro Nogari alley and other areas. Now, similarly, Jongno-gu conducts at least one inspection every day and 2 joint inspections a week. Now, in spite of these efforts, outdoor dining operations continue to thrive. It's like it's mocking the attempts to enforce these policies. Now, the reality is that the number of patrons frequenting these spots is growing faster than the manpower available to enforce the rules. Now, a common problem is that businesses, they know when the inspectors are coming. So when they arrive, they clear the tables,
No business here.
Correct. Yeah.
And then they put it out again
once the inspectors are gone. Now, a Junggu office representative says that some business owners see the fines just as a cost of, going about their daily business.
Cost of operating their business.
Yes, exactly. And they continue operating these outdoor dining spaces because it's still profitable for them, even if they do have to pay a fine if they're caught.
The bottom line makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, should we figure out a better way to coexist?
Let's.
Maybe these policies aren't working.
No, exactly. You think so?
Hey, maybe it's not working.
Not working.
Plan B, plan C.
Yeah.
I mean, designate areas, designate hours, hire manpower so the roads are safe. I don't know.
There has to be some sort of like mutual agreement.
Right?
Yep.
It can't be that difficult. Food for thought. But hey, I don't work for the government, do I? Let's move on to the third buzzword this morning. Now, this is such a pleasant story. We thought we might end on a high note to give you a little bit of Tuesday boost.
Yes. This story caught my attention a couple of days ago, actually.
Okay.
Thousands of people in the United States have donated about $250,000 to a 90-year-old U.S. Air Force veteran who's been financially supporting himself by pushing shopping carts all day long at a grocery store in Louisiana, where the weather right now, it's like up to 40 degrees Celsius. It's really hot.
Like hot and swampy.
That's right. Now, Dylan McCormick is the man's name. He's among a growing number of Americans who are extending their working careers well past the average retirement age because the cost of living in the U.S., like many parts of the world, has soared, and most employees' wages have stagnated over the years, which makes it really impossible for many people to save up. Now, Mr. McCormick was working his job as a cart pusher at a grocery store in New Orleans on Memorial Day in temperatures that felt like 39 degrees Celsius. And he caught the eye of a former local television news anchor. And, she walked up to him and asked the man, sir, it's Memorial Day and you're out here working. Can I ask why? And the man's answer, just 2 words, to eat. Yeah.
Okay, so it was for survival.
That's right. So this former news anchor, she set up a GoFundMe page.
She set it up.
Yeah, she set it up for his benefit. She wrote on the page that, Mr. McCormick's living expenses cost him about $2,500 every month, but he receives less than half of that from Social Security.
And he's a veteran.
Yes, exactly. And so to make up for the difference, to eat, to quote his words, he got a job at pushing or pulling carts, sometimes more than 20 carts at a time, through a maze of cars in the store's parking space, and he pushes carts for hours and hours.
Have you even tried to push like 4 carts at once? Because I've tried that. Not like 20 at once, but it's
physically
hard.
strenuous.
It's very demanding.
Yeah.
And this was a 90-year-old man, which is why this anchor did good. She started this GoFundMe campaign, and it was a success.
That's right. So the campaign circulated widely, and in just days, 5,400 donors had contributed more than $233,000. Now, the man has the choice to continue working or to finally retire and enjoy his life, with this money.
I wonder if he is going to retire.
I am wondering the same thing too. But in comments to the local media, he said, quote, "There are very few people like her left in this crazy world of ours. But as long as she's alive, people are in good shape."
Sometimes it's tough for us to turn our focus to the good in the world. In fact, there's even science behind that. If there's one bad thing that happens in a day and 4 good, we're obsessed with the one bad thing, aren't we?
That's right.
That's just how our brains are wired, which is why you have to constantly remind ourselves there's really a lot of good out there. All right. Thank you, Erica.
Pleasure. Have a good day.
I'll see you tomorrow.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.